Good morning, listeners and viewers, and my brilliant fellow co-host, Jeff.
Good morning, Ammar. How are you doing?
Yeah, brilliant, brilliant. I'm tired, Jeff.
Yeah.
What I am.
Long day, busy week?
Crazy week. One of the most craziest weeks ever. And that's saying something, isn't it?
Especially for you.
Yeah. Anyway, good morning, listeners. You're listening to Ammar and
Yeah.
live in our weekly radio show right here on Spice FM.
Each week we try and bring some views, news, and one or two clues from the business world.
Asian Business Connections aims to connect, support, and promote the Asian and wider communities.
We will be talking shop quite literally, not just corner shops. So they look to start a business, have an existing business, or you just want to talk business, we can help.
We can help. We do, and we will. Anyway, yeah, where are you?
I'm just in Kaika at the moment.
All right, okay. Looks different. Looks very nice.
In a different spot from my usual spot.
Yeah, there's a big gramophone thing. Is that a gramophone behind?
Yeah. We'll play some old classic music on it sometimes.
Yeah,
Get
brilliant.
Get the Desi DJs in, and then like Chok Day, Fat Day, rip the floors up.
Is that like acid music? I thought acid music was something else.
A banger with a bit of acid and a bit of
Was it?
yeah.
Can you remember acid music?
I remember acid, but acid was just a bit crazy, wasn't it? It was just like the same beat, wasn't it? Really fast.
Acid. Yeah. It's like it was no, I think it was more like psychedelic type stuff. I think it was like there was a particular song that I can hear now in my head, and it went something like acid, acid, and then it went like had a beat type thing to it. So you're right. I think everything was like 140 beats per minute or whatever it is, wasn't it? Was it not like super
Yeah, I don't
magic?
really know because I didn't go to them illegal warehouse parties and stuff anymore, so I'm not really too sure about acid music and what that entailed and what that scene was like.
Yeah, it was. Who knows? Who knows, Jeff? Who goes is the thing. Anyway, God. So, given where we were this time last week, the
Yeah.
move, the move, the world has moved on quite significantly, hasn't it? Or is it
I
like
think,
just still
I
all a
think,
bit crazy?
yeah, I think it's all mad, isn't it? It's absolutely just nuts. I mean, can you see what happens in a week? I mean, it's terrifying, isn't it? I think for my I think I'm really pleased to see a halt in um, the fighting or the war that or the 12-day war, whatever you want to call it. But I just think that it's just a bit of a break that they're having and resetting and they're realigning and they're going to go again because I just can't see it lasting. Um, and that ceasefire, if it's a ceasefire, I can't see that holding out for a long period of time. I hope it does, and hope the people in the region make the efforts to ensure that it is long standing. But I've just got a feeling that it's not going to be.
Yeah, I agree.
But we really hope and pray that it does stop. But I think everything that you hear everywhere, man, I'm sick of it all. I'm sick of all this constant wars everywhere. It's just like I think it's just unbelievable that we've got such little value for human life, and
Yeah.
why that just everyone's just everything's all the leaders around the world they're just focused on bloody war all the time. Can we just focus
Mm.
on like making the world a better place and focus towards prosperity of every single person and the well-being of people finding ways to enhance your health, your lifestyles, and making sure there's a bit more equality, where the poor people have got a bit more and the rich people, have a have the heart to give away more, whether it be the corporates or the individuals or even the governments, whatever it may be. It's not that difficult to thing to kind of ask for. You would have expected everyone to be kind of fighting for those things on a day-to-day basis. And I think maybe once upon a time, these great countries did have that mindset, especially for their indigenous people. But now it's just all just madness everywhere.
It is. It is. Do you not think there's an element of the world has genuinely gone to pot? And do you not think that certainly since COVID, right, there would appear to be everyone's like really angry, everyone's short-tempered, everyone's impatient. You know, so I was at the reason why I've had a crazy week is it's just been absolutely relentless. I started the week tired anyway, but then had travelled down to. So I went down to London.
Oh, how come you didn't tell me?
Yeah, because you don't tell me anymore. And I went down to London, and I had to get up. I normally wake up 4:30, but believe it or not, half an hour earlier has a bit of an impact. And my daughter woke me up at 1 a.m. because she wakes up every single night. So I'd gone to bed a bit late on Monday and woke up got woken up at 1 o'clock, couldn't get back to sleep. And then I got up at 4. And on the Friday before that, I must have hurt my foot running because I done like sort of 5K in less than 30 minutes. I done 5K in less than 30 minutes. It was like in the space of 3 runs, I went from 2, 3, 4, 5, well, 4 runs or whatever it is. I ran 2K, 3K, 4K, and then the one after I went 5K, and I'd done it in less than 30 minutes. I was like, oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm obviously getting old because I then must have landed on my foot. Oh, that was it. So on Monday morning, so I had the kids over the weekend, went to the Hoppins and whatever else, and it was just mad, wasn't it? The Hoppins is like was
it as busy, Ammar, the Hoppins?
It didn't look it, but it was incredibly expensive. Incredibly expensive.
Yeah, I was just going to say what I noticed is every time the Hoppins on, the traffic around that area is just crazy. And then you take different routes because in anticipation, oh my God, it's a Hoppins, it's going to be mental. Let's take a detour. But this time around, I actually forgot about the Hoppins, drove straight through, a little bit of traffic, but nothing mad. So I'm just wondering if it's not as mental as it used to be.
And I think you're right. It was busy, but it certainly wasn't as busy as and maybe weather contributes and things like that. But it was ridiculously expensive, right? So you then have to question if you went there with 2 or 3 kids and they went on 2 or 3 rides, you would have spent £150.
Wow!
It was just crazy.
It's ridiculous.
It was crazy, right? And the amount of people who were like, "Oh yeah, we're going. Oh no, we're not staying. We're not paying this." For like it was like £5, £6 a ride. Some of the rides were £8, £9 and things like that. You just think, it's like anyway. So I'd gone there, and my foot had got worse, so the ball of my foot. And then on Monday morning, drop my kids off at school and went to get it checked out. And it's interesting, right? So if you go into a walk-in centre and if you say, I've heard something, they'll see you. But if you say you haven't had an accident, as in, you haven't physically done something. So let's just say, you woke up with a bad foot, right? You've gone to bed all right. You woke up with a bad foot. You don't know how you done it. Don't know when you done it. They won't X-ray you. But if you say you've hurt your foot and here's how you hurt it, they will X-ray you. So
Yeah,
what
yeah.
they'll do is they'll send you home if you haven't had an actual trauma.
Yeah, well,
And
everything's traumatic these days.
well, everything is. Anyway, it was just, so I spent a bit of time there. I'd really hurt myself. And why am I sharing all of this? Because I was in real pain, like real pain. And didn't get enough sleep on the Monday. Then I'm going to London and my train was at like 5 o'clock. So got up at 4 o'clock, got to the train station, dumped the car. And then you know what it's like. It doesn't matter. I came out of King's Cross. You've got to walk. You've got to walk in London. Whatever you do, whether you've got a car outside, you'll have to walk from one place to another. Anyway, so I was at this High Sheriff Association event all day. Then there was this private reception at the Old Bailey, Jeff.
All right. If they were one of them wig things.
Yeah, well, as in it was like an old bay, like it was, and then they took you into court number one, and court number one is like the most significant court in the country. And the guy who was doing the debate and conversation was brilliant. He was so he had such a he should have been an actor, as in he should have been an actor. It was an Asian guy, which made it even more interesting, and a very posh Asian guy, which made it even more interesting. And I know that I can be a posh Asian guy, depending upon who I'm talking to. But this guy was anyway. And it was just a brilliant day, long day, so hot, so stuffy, and then literally didn't get back to the hotel till after 9. By the time you got to sleep, and then on Wednesday, I just had back to back to back meetings with MPs, lords, ministers, and then had this Turkish event. Had a British Chamber event. It was just like non-stop, but it was brilliant. I went into Prime Minister's question time. Prime Minister wasn't there, but it's just so funny. On the one hand, it's funny. On the other, it's slightly embarrassing to think our leaders of our country, go on like this. Obviously, you've been to many.
It's a pantomime show, man. Amal. It's a frigging pantomime show. I just can't understand. Leaders, they just, when I've seen some of the stuff, it's like, why are you turning the most significant office in the land into a pantomime? Because the way that they carry themselves sometimes, it's just outrageous. I mean, they need to be like statesmen, like all of them. I mean, the way that they carry on sometimes, it's beyond belief. I think it's just getting worse and worse and worse. Imagine statesmen from 50 years ago seeing the clown show that happens in our Houses of Commons these days. It's outrageous, I think, the way that they go on. The statesmen, like that's what all MPs should be. They should be a force for good, and they should be very, very serious. All of these words that they have when they start off, the right honourable gentleman and A, B, C, and D. Well, it's to show a bit of respect, but the way that they go on these days, I think it's mad, man. It really is.
Yeah, no, it does. It is. And it's so I was it was entertaining and whatever else, and then I went to a Northeast Armed Forces recruitment debate, and that was brilliant. I'm honorary colonel, and it was fantastic to have a mention and whatever else. But it was brilliant to see the level of support, cross-party support by all of the MPs. It was just fantastic. Um, so yeah, went there and then went to had a few more meetings, and it was just like crazy. But anyway, came back, and I must admit, I was shattered. I was like, didn't get back off the train till like 12, is what I'd done. And it was just, um, and it was, and then yesterday morning, got up like super sharp, hadn't had enough sleep. And it's funny how it catches up on you.
Hmm. Does.
Like, really catches up with you. So,
Well,
yeah,
weekend is close, and you can relax, put your feet up, and chill the whole weekend. Make it a
well,
little bit. Hmm?
can't. I'm going to Manchester to, I'm going to Manchester to um, the UK Arab Business Council event.
Okay.
So I thought, so it's like a um, it's a incredibly busy weekend. All of the sovereign funds are there. So all of the princes, all of the it's a 2 day gala type thing. So it should be interesting. And because of the things that we're doing down at Teesside, it's a really significant opportunity for us. So that's another early start tomorrow, late night tomorrow night, all day again at the in Manchester, and then come back, and then next week it's just back in the thick of it. But thank God, it's all positive, progressive stuff, is what it is. And what about you, Jeff? What's happening in the town?
Um, it's the same really. We had a interesting meeting with the chief executives of anyone. Just looking to do a bit of collaborative work with some like-minded operators on the quayside, such as Cafe 21, St. Vincent's, Terry Layburn's group, the Hooch. And interestingly, they were just talking about apparently the city councils, there's uproar, isn't there? There's been like a big, massive changes in the city council right at high level. I think there's been some kind of mutiny or something on those lines. I'm not really sure too much where the chief execs and all there's been big, massive changes. And we were just talking about how the individual businesses, people like yourself, Ammar, we've talked about this many times. When we have a real, genuine love, care, and appreciation for Newcastle as a city, and we have a real desire to do our best to improve it as a city and improve the offering for those that come from outside and those within. And that is our kind of one of the motivations that keeps us going, because if you look at Terry Labour, the best kind of restaurant group in the city by head and shoulders above everybody else. He's sustained his business for like maybe 25 years at the top level, and he's remained in Newcastle and effectively in Newcastle city centre. And that's why now, rightfully, he's been given freedom of the city, and he's done so much good for the city. But we all collectively felt that we haven't been helped by the city, because the city should be nurturing us and helping us. The city councils, unfortunately, there needs to be a battle with them in terms of us wanting to just add value to the city, and we have to go through so many hoops, and there's so many hurdles that we have to overcome. Especially now, Ammar, in the city centre. The city centre should be where all the best kind of restaurants are, the best bars are, the coolest building, because it's the city centre, it's the core of the city. And when people come from afar, the memory of the city should be based on the city centre in many, many ways. I know there's some great, beautiful surroundings, and you got like the beach, you got Bamber, you got Anik, you got all of these things, which is part of the wider experience of Newcastle. But the city centre, at its core, it should have the best of the best, and there should be support from the council. And we just feel that that is not there, and we shared that with anyone, and there's not much that they could say to disagree with that, especially the way that it's going at the moment, and with the road closures and the denial of access, and
why is that? Why
well,
did
the
they have it?
answer to
Did
that
you not
was
have?
the answer to
Did
that,
you
Ammar.
not have a representation
Well, that's the
from the?
whole. So, of course, that's what we talked about, and I think the representation, that when they invite you to a meeting, or where they say, "Oh, public meeting," before we go ahead with this, but that decision's already been made. There's never been a situation where a public meeting, their outcome has changed because an independent has raised something. Because I've raised things in the past about parking, and they shot me down, to make me look like some kind of a stupid idiot. That, oh, why are you even raising that? Are you not environmentally friendly? Oh, you're like against the environment. You're against the world. You're one of these conspiracy guys. You want parking in the city centre. You are absolutely mental, mate. Do you not know that we all want to come in bikes, and we all want to come in public? We want to come in buses. This is the
But
future of
who
our
is?
health, our well-being, and you want to bloody come in a car? Are you for real? So I was like, hey, and you're bloody brown as well, mate. So you're just a lunatic. I was like, okay, then I'm just going to sit quietly in the corner, and I'm not going to say anything ever again. So when that happens, like, they've never done anything, and we're the ones that actually live and breathe the city. We're the ones that actually make the daily journeys. The taxi drivers, why have we never asked the taxi drivers before you've changed the train station route and stuff? Because they're the
Yeah.
ones that you should be sitting down. Hey, taxi drivers, I know that you guys are visiting and doing the journeys and the routes every single day. Can you give us share some input into, these are the changes we're looking to make? Do you think it's going to work? It's not going to work? Have they ever done anything like that? Of course they haven't, because they're sat on their computers thinking that they're smart asses, that they know everything, because they're like, come out of particular university with A, B, C, and D. So it's like and plus, when the leadership changes so quickly, like Terry Laban's been in business for 25 years in the city, consistently. He's consistently, there's stability, there's a direction, there's a pathway, there's like a vision. Whereas if you've got leaders in the city council that just change from A to B, A to B, and there isn't that, how many times have the leaders of the council changed in the last 10 years? So when that happens as a constant, how is there going to be continuity? And is there a real handover of a particular vision for the city? And is that vision solid? And it's for the best interest of the city itself, not some Europeans dictating to us that, oh, well, you need cycle lanes in your city because we're going to give you X amount of money. And I said, yeah, but we're in Newcastle. We don't want cycle lanes. We don't need it. Fair enough if you want to have like a few cyclists here and there, but you don't have to change the entire layout of the frigging roads in the city to accommodate cycle lanes. So again, they make decisions based on like, oh, European funding and A, B, C, and D, and it absolutely messes up with the dynamics of the flow of cars and traffic and people, and hence the footfall is unbelievably down in the city. So we have to fight all of these things, and as an operator, when things are the economy is down, there's wars everywhere. On top of that, our city centre and our leaders are making our lives a lot more difficult. That we don't even know what we can do. And this is this. I'm just sharing about what was discussed in this meeting, and it's like really
Thank
frustrating.
you for that. I think it's important to share. I mean, equally be mindful of, we don't have anyone from the council here to respond to any of your
Yeah,
comments or
I don't think
observations.
you're going to get anyone from the council. There's no leaders at the moment, is there?
I'll put my teeth in. Um, So what do you mean? There's no leaders of
I
the
think
council?
I think like there's been some issues with the leaders in the council. There's someone's on some kind of a leave because they've had some kind of a ruckus with someone else, and someone else has taken over, and he's got a group of people around him, and it's all to do. I don't know. It's like very political at the moment. Have a look at it. It's out there somewhere in newspapers. So
No, there isn't. I mean, there was some issues last year with Nick and Karen Gilgower was appointed in October, but other than that, um, there isn't. I'm not aware of any, unless the chief exec has changed,
yeah, I
or
think so. Something's going on. I'm over the chief exec.
was it the chief exec as opposed to the
Yeah,
leader of the
yeah.
company? Well, okay. Uh,
Um, yeah. So, and but on the positive, if there's any positive at the moment, the big hotel Ammar, where the fire station used to be, Gotham.
yeah.
Um, it's a big 5-star hotel. It's 5-star though, without a pool, without a few things that
How?
should traditionally have to have the tick box as a 5-star. Apparently, how 5-star hotels are recognized, the parameters have changed.
Right.
So apparently it's about service and A, B, C, and D these days. So it's a 5-star hotel. Um, um, like it's supposed to look. I mean, it's a beautiful building. The way that they've done it up and doing it up, they're nearly there. Apparently, it's going to open in August, which is only 6 weeks away. But it's probably going to end up being opening in September. But it's very close, and I think that's going to make a nice difference to that part of the city because it has been under construction for a good few years now. Um, and next to that, Ammar, you know where as you next to that to the right hand side, you have this new stack development there as well,
This
which
new?
the stack, you know, the stack that you have in St. James's Park that used to be where the old Odin used to be, the stack. They're
Yeah.
moving to Warwick Chambers,
Who are?
the stack, you know, like this, you know, the shipping containers that they used to have.
Yeah.
So that's actually not shipping containers on this occasion. It's the same
Hmm.
group and it's the same concept, but it's done in actual buildings on the fascia. And those
Right.
buildings they've done them up really, really nicely. And then inside, when you go in, apparently there's a courtyard where they do have the containers. But again, it's another big leisure site directly in the heart of the city centre. Another things that anyone was talking about, well, how many of these city centre kind of new leisure sites can the city kind of actually cope with and really be able to have the demand for. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how that is when that all comes to fruition. And I think that's going to happen in autumn.
Yeah, and actually, thanks to it's funny, right? Because I remember um, long ago, so long ago, but I remember when I first started sitting on the boards, the various boards that I sit on and sat on, the leader of the council, David Falconer, had invited me to join the innovation board. I mean, I must admit, and this isn't a political broadcast, far from it. It's more a case of the the connectivity with our council, because it's our council. The connectivity with our council during that period, there were representatives from every sector. There were representatives of every area, and it felt very collaborative and representative. And I remember sitting there and going, okay, yes, we should be talking about digital. Yes, we should be talking about innovation and things like that. I say, but the foundation economy of Newcastle in particular, right? What transformed Newcastle city centre was and is its leisure and hospitality, right? If you think about it, the vast majority of jobs, the operators, in the city centre, the level of investment that's gone into the city centre, if you look at that from a statistical perspective, it creates not hundreds, but thousands of jobs, right? And it supports so many communities, whether that's international students, whether that's, whatever it is, there are jobs there all the way up to, if you think about Terry Laybourne, you've got people at the significant top of their tree and opportunities for everyone and everything. Anyway, the lack of recognition and appreciation of the contribution that the leisure and hospitality sector brings to Newcastle and the surrounding areas, I feel is absolutely wrong. And why? Because we're right to think about future and whatever else and things like that. But where are people, how many space jobs are they going to find right now? And I love the development and the fact that we as a region are leading on these, right? I'm not saying that it should be this or I just think it needs to be enhanced and we need to appreciate this, right? If there was proper pathways, if there was proper support, sort of closing down Grey Street, closing down restaurants and, foundational economy businesses is outrageous, is what it is.
Yeah, it's horrendous, and that's what everyone said exactly what you've just said just there, Ammar, yesterday.
Did they? Just the way I said it.
Well, not as good as how you said it, but the message was was a similar type of a message. It's just terrible, short-sighted decisions, and apparently they felt that, oh well, it's okay. We're going to open the Dean Street car park. We're just going to make sure that everyone can go there and park, but who wants to go and park in a multi-story car park and then it takes them 45 minutes to get in and half 45 minutes to get out, and it closes at 10 o'clock anyway. I mean, and they can't open it after 10 o'clock because it costs them too much money to have one parking attendant just there. Are you for real? But then you spent like 50 million quid on destroying Grey Street, and you can't afford like £12.50 to have a
There'll be
parking.
counter arguments, and we need to be mindful of those. There will be people who actually don't drive, and there will be people.
Yeah, of course. There's like people that want to, go on a night out and get
Anyway,
the bus home
so
at
we
11
need
o'clock.
to. There's always an alternative view. What's going on? Well, here's some headlines. AI takes entry-level jobs as Big Four / graduate hiring. So AI, artificial intelligence, is now being integrated into the productivity of firms, and people aren't required as much, is the thing. UK government unveils 270 million boost to skills and apprenticeships to revive industrial heartlands. And HSBC faces a £150 million dilemma over office space as return to work drive clashes with post-pandemic downsizing. Jeff, have you used AI? Are you using AI? ChatGPT?
No, I haven't, but I know that interestingly, one of our managers, we were sat in there having a meal, and then she took a picture of the dish, and the AI recognized exactly what the dish was, what the sauces were on there, what the chutneys were on there, and it was given a calorie count of that particular dish.
It was given a what?
A calorie count. Yeah. So it was saying that, oh, well, you're going to have this, it's going to have X amount of calories in it. And she was like using that to decide, oh my God, I better have she knew exactly what her calorie intake was going to be just based on a quick photograph, sticking it into ChatGPT, whatever it was.
That's brilliant.
I mean, brilliant. Some of the stuff that AI does is phenomenal. But I just...
I use it. I think I've got probably 5 or 6 different ones that I use. So I was one of the early adopters of ChatGPT. I bought the paid version and I use it extensively. And it is brilliant. The only challenge I personally have with it is I think it contributes to my ADHD because I already think and learn too much, right? So I've always learned about everything and anything, right? And general knowledge I adore, and anything, any sector or activity or business that I've ever got involved in, anything, I need to know everything about it, right? And our brains are brilliant, right? We don't utilize them half as much as we could or should. They say you use less than 10% of your brain's actual capacity or capability, right, as humans. And now that I've plugged in AI, I feel as if there was a movie, wasn't there? Can you remember a movie where the guy took a pill and you then learned everything and you knew everything and whatever it was? It was like it feels a bit like that, is the thing. And because of it, I'm like now trying to keep up. My head and my body are trying to keep up with the level of information and analyzing it. And I used to do 3, 4 things at once. Now I'm doing 10 things at once. It is like profound how it's like impacting me. I think I'm going to turn into a robot. I think I'll be a Terminator. I think I'd like to be a Terminator. I'd like to be Arnie Schwarzenegger, but I'm probably going to end up into R2 bloody D2 is what I'm going to take. That's the thing. So it's it's funny old thing. Funny old thing. Understand it, use it. It can make you so productive. And now, at the extent of, I even said to it, look, I feel as if I'm getting to a stage of burning out because of you, right? So I'm having conversations with it. Right? And I go, give me some strategies and, how do I do it? And actually it came up with, right, this is what you need to do, and you should be doing a bit more of this, and you should be doing that, and take it in bite sizes and what. It's clever. It's incredibly clever. It is brilliant, brilliant. So don't get left behind. Is the thing. Will it take over everything and everyone? I'd not in our lifetime. I'd like to think that my son might be that, whatever it's called, from Terminator in the future and brings me back and things like that. But that's science fiction at the minute. So yeah, use it, explore it, utilize it, play with it. It's fun. It is really fun. It's like Google on steroids is what it is. Mm. Yeah. I would be calling it Googly or something like that. Anyway, so business topic of the week. This week is 5 mistakes new sole traders make and how to avoid them. Starting as a sole trader can be exciting, but many fall into avoidable traps. Based on years of experience supporting startups and tradespeople, SME Centre of Excellence highlights the top 5 mistakes new sole traders make. Not registering with HMRC. Failing to register as self-employed on time can lead to penalties. Solution: register early. The Ready Steady Trade package can help with setup. Mixing personal and business finances. Using one account for both makes tax time messy. So solution: open a separate business account for clarity and professionalism. Ignoring tax and compliance rules. Digital record keeping will soon be mandatory under Making Tax Digital. Solution: start using digital tools now. The Ready Steady Trade package includes making tax digital friendly resources, undervaluing your time and skills, charging too little, or taking every job can leave you out of pocket. Solution: set fair, structured pricing, and learn to say no when needed. Lacking a professional image. No business address or web presence can make you seem unestablished. Solution: use a virtual address, create a simple website, and ensure consistent branding. How the Ready Steady Trade package helps: a monthly support package from the SME Centre of Excellence that includes a professional virtual business address, mail handling, making tax digital compliance tools, digital guides and reminders, one-page website, optional bookkeeping and tax return add-ons. Perfect for sole traders who want to look professional, stay compliant, and grow with confidence.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's really, really good tips. And I think a lot of people, it may seem simple, but a lot of people I know that actually not doing the things that you've just said, and it would be good practice for them to begin to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Have a look around, see what's available, how is it available, and what you can do to make sure. A lot of information is available online, so gov.uk and whatever else. It's just the time. If you're a tradesperson, Jeff, if you're a restaurateur, if you're a taxi driver, if you're a joiner, if you're a doctor, if you're a whatever it is, right? Because all of these individuals are self-employed, in the main. If you're those things, you just want to concentrate on what your profession is. Just give someone else to deal with that. Why would you waste time? Yeah, this approach of which we all adopt is, oh, well, that shouldn't be easy. I'll watch a YouTube video. I'll spend time building my own website. Oh, I'll learn accountancy. Oh, I'll learn. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Just focus on what you're good at and just do it.
Yeah. So
the inclusion by default, a sneak peek at what's to come from the inclusion by default report, from division to dialogue, a new narrative for the Northeast. Our inclusion by default campaign isn't just a report, it's a movement built on real voices, real stories, and real change. 50,000 voices captured, frameworks delivering real world impact, uniting unlikely allies across sectors and communities, and recognizing excellence, telling real stories, starting conversations that matter, championing a new inclusive narrative for the region. So that's coming out soon. Armed Forces Day. Jaffa was at my military event yesterday. Brilliant demonstration of our British Armed Forces. And here's the thing, the army only does what it gets told. So we as the wider, broader community need to respect and appreciate that. It's not the army who make the decisions, they just execute them. Coming back to world affairs, it was really peculiar, wasn't it, Jeff, on earlier on in the week, because on Monday, I remember being sat there, got a ping on my watch with headline news, and it said Iran was bombing the US.
mm.
That really saddened me. I got really upset at that, because that, for me, was the escalation. And I just thought, this is where everyone's going to pile into Iran. As in, this is where everyone goes, right, well, you've done this, we're now going to come after, we're going to obliterate Iran. And I genuinely thought it's the end of another country, sort of as a consequence of Western interference or whatever it is, as in. Um, but it was good to see that it didn't further escalate. I think you're right to be cautious um, and take that with a pinch of salt. Yeah.
I think Iran's retaliation, well, the US bombed their nuclear sites, so they had to strike back. Otherwise, it would be shame on them. So I think their strike back was symbolic. And they apparently told the Americans we're going to strike at this time, so move your people out of your what do you call them? Out of your bases in Qatar and in the other countries. So I think Donald Trump said so as well. He said, "Oh, thank you very much, Iran, for letting us know that you're going to strike, and we've got our people out there, so there was no casualties." So it was more of a symbolic strike, but I think it was to send a message also that I think Iran have got big capabilities when it comes to um, their missiles that they have, because they've got some very, very advanced ballistic intercontinental missiles, or whatever you want to call them. I'm not an expert on it. It's just what I've been hearing from different commentators. And I think apparently the location of Iran is such that it's a country that you're never going to be able to win the battle on the ground because of the geography of it. And also the American bases are so close that if they can easily blow up the oil fields of Qatar, Saudi, Bahrain, Kuwait, and that would have the world would be in chaos because of the oil, and they'll
Yeah.
close the Straits of Hormuz, it would create more chaos. So I think if they really want to cause, if they do get attacked and they really want to cause trouble in the world, as retribution, they can quite easily do so. So I think that's why maybe the powers that be are a bit more careful with Iran, because they realize that, hold on, I better not. And maybe the Saudis and the Qataris are all speaking to the Americans saying, hey, look, man, we've just done a big, massive deal with yourselves of X amount of trillions of pounds, and that's all going to be in jeopardy if you don't make the right decisions here and make the right calls. So I think after that as well, after the ceasefire, they've made another announcement a couple of days ago where they've said that, oh, well, we're going to have a ceasefire in Gaza as well. And there's going to be the Abraham Accords are going to come into play in Gaza, and like some of the countries around Palestine, I think Saudi, Qatar, Egypt, Jordan, and I'm not sure that they're going to get involved in a two-state solution for Gaza and the Palestinians. So I don't really know the significance of that, and if that's good or bad, or if that's, I mean, what would be good is if the blockade of Gaza, and in terms of them getting food for hungry kids and stuff like that, can you believe it that we can't, as a world, get food to a group of people and just starve them to death? It's just freaking outrageous that it's still allowed to happen. So there's a lot that's happened last week, and ultimately, like we said at the start, we just want humans to have a bit of empathy and help other human beings to make sure that they have the bare necessities and have a bit of pride and dignity in their lives. And if we're in a position to help them with that, then we should. And the powers that we do have, but they're just not prepared to do it for whatever reasons that they have.
Oh,
On parking that to one side, Amar, on a positive, let's talk a little bit about
football,
football, because
football.
you've got today, I think, is a deadline. Those that have hospitality need to probably tie that all in and get that locked down. I think if
Yeah,
anyone's missed anything, you've got the opportunity to opt into the Champions League games. So it's a
yeah.
guaranteed 4 home games because the format has changed this year. So it's like 8 games in the first round. Previously, I think there used to be 6. So there's an extra 2 games that we get, 2 home and one home and 1 away. So it's going to be fantastic for the city on those big occasions, because the city does always come to life. And then obviously the deadline, as I said, is today. So get anyone that's
Have
missed
you
that.
got your contract then?
Yeah, it's all done yesterday and it's all been signed off and stuff.
All right, okay.
So and then you have the players are coming back. It's only they're coming back on the 7th of July, so it's only another 10 days or so, and all the players coming back for pre-season. So they've had their 6 weeks away, all on holiday, and some of them are actually on holiday training and stuff. And then the pre-season starts on the 12th, I think, of July, and the season kicks off about 4 weeks after that. So first couple of weeks in August, the season starts. So it's about 6-7 weeks away, until the season kicks off. And I think there's talks of 3 big signings at the moment, which I think apparently they're quite advanced. Well, 2 of them are quite advanced. James Trafford, the goalkeeper, João Pedro, who's a striker from Brighton, and then they're looking at Anthony Elanga, who's a right winger from Nottingham Forest. To that, I think they'll definitely add a high-profile defender. And I think on top of that, they'll probably get 2 other players just to beef up the squad. So I think we'll get 6 signings in before the transfer window deadline, which is, I think it's the 1st of September. So there's still a good few weeks for that to finish. So I think if we can get the players in and, add beef to that squad, I think we should hopefully have a really, really good season next season.
I think it'll be a brilliant season. I think it's quite exciting to see what's happening, and given the various leagues and things like that, it's quite an exciting time to be involved. And it goes back to the point that you were raising, Jalf, which is given the clubs, given the hospitality, given the leisure, clubs are, it's a sport venue, but in fact it's leisure and hospitality, isn't it? Is what it is.
Yeah.
And recognizing, that contribution is quite important, isn't it?
Well, I think the football club underpins the city. And the football club, in many ways, Newcastle United, when you talk about Newcastle around the world, the reference point is the football. And I think the profile of that, for sure, it's going to be raised immensely because of Champions League and the coverage that has. And if we could just become a Champions League regular, and if we could just keep on winning things on a regular basis, the profile of the city is going to be so phenomenal. But there's a lot of work to do, Ammar, because yesterday I bumped into just a couple outside on the quayside, and I was talking to them. I said, "Oh, how you doing?" Because they were floating around the restaurant. And I said, "Oh, so are you from?" No, I said, "We're tourists. We're from London." I said, "Oh, how you finding the city?" I was dead excited. I said, "Oh, have you been to the river? Have you been?" He said, "Yeah, we've been to the river." Oh, that's nothing that special. I've been to Greece. It's all right. It's nothing like London. And I said, "Well, it depends." I said, "We appreciate it's not London. London's the best city in the planet, but as a niche, cool little city, you should come and enjoy the peace and tranquility, but yet the quirkiness of the city, and there's some like great places to see, and lots of great people with big hearts." But he was very kind of dismissive of the things that I was trying to tell him, which I'm thinking,
it's
okay.
Mad, isn't it? I mean, it's just because the flip side, just briefly on that, Jeff, just the flip side. So I had one of the Indian British High Commission individuals here, and he'd gone all around the UK. It was his first visit to Newcastle. We brought him to the restaurant. He's like, "This is the best place." And he's like, "Look at this quayside. Look at this town. Look at how beautiful." He's like, "We need to be promoting this all over the world." It's like, it's funny.
On the hour, every hour, from the heart of the community.
Right. See you next week.